Hello everyone and welcome to our first Zoom. This is a Zoom that we're going to use for our science, and our science that we're going to be looking at is light. And what we'd like you to do is to work scientifically and think about lots of questions to do with light. And we have started here with the knowledge organizer to help you. And throughout the week of science that we're going to be doing, I want you to ask and try and answer as many questions as you can to do with light. What is light? Why do we need light? Where does light go? How does light change? What patterns can we see with light? And they're just some of the questions, but I'm sure you'll come up with lots more. So the first thing we need to look at is the knowledge organizer. And this is what we would normally have in school, wouldn't we? And so here's lots of key vocabulary to do with light and some key information and some key words that we will be using throughout the investigations that we will be doing. Words like shadow, opaque, translucent, transparent. You might know what they mean already, but you might need to find out more information to make sure that you know what they mean. And there's some just information there for you. I'm not going to read that out to you because I think you need to read that yourselves and digest that. There is some other vocabulary there as well, from just some general information about light. Now, this topic does really lend itself for lots and lots of discussion. So even though you might sit and do some of it on your own, it would be really useful and really helpful if you've got somebody there that you can discuss ideas with, bounce ideas off. It might be that that might be mummy and daddy, it might be brothers or sisters, or you could use FaceTime or Zoom to perhaps speak to other relatives, or if you have been in contact with other children in school, from school, you might be able to FaceTime or Zoom them. And there are some activities that you can do, and that might be nice if you can FaceTime or Zoom one of your friends from school to do the activities with. Or you can also contact us via the email or Twitter to ask us some questions or bounce ideas off as well. So this is the planning sheet that you'll be sent. At the start, obviously, as I said, is the knowledge organizer. As we work through the planning sheet, you will see that the activities are split up into 6 different activities. They can be done in any order that you like. We just put them in this order, but just have a go which ones that you fancy doing, which ones you think would be the ones that you can do at home. We've tried to keep it the same format as you would in school as much as we can, but obviously you haven't got the same resources at home. So what we've tried to do, if you have a look here, that when some of the activities ask you for specific things, we try to have a look what you might have at home. So when it's a list of objects, there's some random things that you might have at home. Hopefully you've got a torch at home, but if you haven't got a torch, perhaps you could use a lamp without the shade on, which is another good source of light. One of the activities is about feely bags, and you might have some little bags that you can use as feely bags, but if not, you might want to use an old pair of socks, a dark pair of socks that you can put objects in and have a go with the activity that way. It says about sheets, recording sheets. You can download those, but if you want to, you don't need to print off extra stuff. What you can do is just with a piece of paper and make 2 lists. For one of the activities, it tells you to separate sources of light and not sources of light, put them into 2 groups. And here you can just make 2 lists, sources of light and non-sources of light, and then just do that very simply. So each activity has a PowerPoint that relates to that, and that will give you all the explanations, all the science that relates to what the activity is asking you to do. Some of the PowerPoints have video clips linked to them, and I've also put some of the video links here as well for you. So if I just show you, oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's have a look at that. I want to share a new one. So I'll show you this one here, that's it. We'll share that. There we go. So that is light and dark. So this is the PowerPoint that relates to the first activity. And each PowerPoint will have the objective. So the first one is, and it starts with the question, why do we need light? There are some questions that you need to answer through a discussion with somebody else in your house, or as I said, via Zoom or email. So, or even just asking to yourself, what do you think? And it says here about a mind map, and a mind map is really just your thoughts. What do you already know, and what else would you like to find out? So what questions do you want to find out about light? What is there already that you're not quite sure about? How does that work? Why does that happen? Things like that. So that's what you can do yourself. That's what I was talking about, the light source sorting game. Again, as I said, there are lots of sheets here, but I wouldn't perhaps print them all off. I would just have a look at them on the screen and then use that list to put them into two separate piles. Now, it then goes on to talk about them in the next slide. I wouldn't go further than slide 11 to start with until you've done that activity, because it does give you the answers to some of the tricky ones, and it'd be a shame if you looked at that first, because it'd be nice for you to investigate and find out for yourself. So, and then you can check your answers to see whether you're right or not with some of the, and it says that for some of the tricky ones. So that is how you follow the PowerPoints. And then there are different questions as well. So that's the feely bag activity that I was talking to you about. You might want to try that with your brothers and sisters if you have anybody at home, or that again is a nice one that you might want to do with somebody via Zoom or email. So that is that one. If we go back to the planning, if I can find it, there it is there. Then the planning goes through similar to what is on the PowerPoint, but it just sets it out in a little bit more detail for you. And then once you have completed all the activities on the PowerPoint, what we'd like you to do is summarize your conclusions. What have you found out? What do you know now that you didn't know at the start of that activity? And we'd like you via, it could be through some drawings, through a sentence, through a discussion, you can do your own summary of what you found out. And you can share that with us on the through the class emails or through the Twitter, Year 3 Twitter page. And here's an example of what you might, we've given you an example there with some sentence stems, then you have to just fill in the information there. But you don't have to show it like that. You could show it, as I said, through pictures or just by just talking to somebody. It really is up to you. What's the best way for you to explain what you have found out? And so that's basically it. And that would be the same format for each of the activities. The next one is about which surfaces reflect light. As you can see, there are some little clips there. They're only about a minute long, and you might find some different clips on YouTube that actually help you. I've got an explanation. So that's why I'm not really going to do a lot of the teaching now, because the explanations are there for you through the clips. And I do think you need to perhaps look through the PowerPoints a couple of times, read through the information, perhaps look at the clips a few times for you to really understand what the science is telling you and what you need to find out. And sometimes for your activities, it might be that there is a sheet. And if there is a sheet, I've tried to put that next to it to show what you need to do. And that's a downloadable sheet. But if you don't want to download lots of paper, you can just do a drawing, just have a look on the screen and draw what's there. It really doesn't have to be loads and loads of printed sheets. So that was lesson 2. Lesson 3 was about mirrors and the difference of how does using a mirror affect light. And you can find out some different things through playing some games there, and you can see what you find out about that. And that would be really nice actually for you to do with somebody else. from school, or one of your relatives, and there's some nice little games there for you to do and to talk about. And they're on the PowerPoints, but I've just put the little slides there of the games as well, just so you see. But if you remember that every activity has got a related PowerPoint for it, and that all the information should be on those. And then we want you to look at sun safety and about how the light can be damaging if we're not careful and we don't understand the effects of how damaging light can be. And what we would like you to do there is to create your own poster or leaflet explaining, once you found out about how light can be damaging, about how to protect your eyes and your self from the damaging effects of the light of the sun. So there's a poster there that you can do. And again, we'd love to share those through the school email and through Twitter. And the next one, we want you to do a little investigation and record your results and think about which material forms shadows. And then this is what we're talking about, the different scientific terms of transparent, translucent and opaque, and I want you to have a look at those. There's some little clips to help you as well, and have a look at different materials. First of all, there's a sorting activity about which, so you have to find some materials around the home, and do you think those materials come under the transparent category, translucent or opaque? And then what we'd like you to do is a little investigation to find out which materials would be best to make a pair of curtains to block out the light so that you could sleep longer. So, and it's all there for you, and then that's for you to think about, so if I was using net curtains, would that block out the light? How would you describe what properties are net curtains? Are they transparent? Are they translucent? Or are they opaque? So would they help if I was trying to block out the light? So if you have a look at different materials around the home, you might need to do a bit more investigation online for that, and see which material would be best. And there is a sheet related to that, but again, you can just do up some conclusions on some paper and do your results. And again, well, not again, because this will be the first time we've talked about it, but we need to think about a fair test. Again, from the point of view that we've done fair testing in school, how can we make sure that our testing is fair? What do we keep the same? And what do we change? Remember, to make it a fair test, we should only have one variable, one thing that we're changing each time. So in this investigation, it would be the material. Everything else would be the same, your testing process, but you will change it by using different materials to see which one blocks out the light the most. And then the next activity will be how do shadows change size, and that's another investigation. Now, if we did that investigation in school, we would use a rounders post, and we would set up investigation on the playground, and every hour we'd go out and measure the length of the shower. Obviously, you might not have that equipment at home, so I've tried to do it with what I'd had in my garden. So I've used a rake there, and I used a dressmaker's measuring tape and some bits of paper to mark, because I hadn't got any chalk, to mark the different points. Now, to make it a fair test, you keep your thing that you're measuring, the thing that your object, you keep that in the same place all the time, and then you just look at the shadow. So at 10 o'clock, you look at the shadow, mark how long the shadow is, the position of the shadow, and that can be with paper, or it can be with chalk if you've got it, or anything that you can, and then keep going back out at regular intervals and seeing if the shadow has changed, has it moved? And that's that's the point of this investigation. And to think about why. Why has this, if it does, why has the shadow changed? What's happening to the light? I haven't shared my conclusions with you because I'd like you to share yours with us first, and then we'll do another Zoom, and then we'll join in and we'll think about everybody's conclusions and what they found out. So I hope that is self-explanatory. We tried to make them as user-friendly as possible with the things that you might have at home. Don't forget there's a PowerPoint for each of the activities, but if you are unsure about anything, please email us, or please just put a question on Twitter, and we're here every day to help you with all of those activities. And don't forget there's BBC Bite Size and there's other websites that you can go to for more information. Have a go, have a look at all the different things, share all that you find with us, and that we're really looking forward to seeing all your work relating to light. Thank you very much.